One of the things that can confuse users which are new to a server environment is the seeming complexity of just shutting down or rebooting the system. You know, it's so easy when you have a graphical user interface. You just look for that power off or that log off or log out or that reboot button on the GUI display on the graphical user interface. But here in the shell, we need to do, it's a little more complex. And here's the thing, I can show you these commands, but if I don't teach you the differences between issuing reboot and issuing shutdown and the options that are associated with them, then I'm doing you a great disservice. I want you to understand how CentOS 7 operates, how it thinks, and I want you to have more than just a basic working understanding of rebooting and shutting down your system. Nevertheless, this module will not be cumbersome. We're going to start by simply issuing reboot, and then after issuing that, I'm going to tell you why you really don't want to do that. Even though reboot is going to reboot the system, and you can see that that's exactly what it's doing here, reboot should not be used because reboot is going to end processes immediately. And especially if there's any chance that other users are doing things within the server, or if there are other background processes that are perhaps writing files, you wouldn't want to use reboot. Now, I'm here on a virtual machine and I'm able to show you reboot and it's no problem whatsoever. But you need to know that reboot really should not be used except in single user mode, and we haven't talked about run levels. And so if you don't know if you're in single user mode, better to assume that you are not. Better to assume that you're in multi-user mode, which is usually run level 2, and that's going to be the standard operating mode for these servers. The normal operating mode, the normal run level, is going to be run level 2 multi-user mode. So instead, if you wanted to reboot, what you would do is you would issue shutdown with the R option for reboot. Now, you're going to need root privileges in order to do this, so we have to type sudo first, and then we type shutdown, which seems counterintuitive because you say, I don't want to shut down, I just want to reboot the system. But that's what the R option is for. So sudo shutdown R, and then you need to specify a time, or if you do not specify a time frame, like so, this would mean that the system would reboot 10 minutes from now. If you did not specify any sort of time frame, like this, the server would assume a time frame of 1 minute. So let's go ahead and do that now, and you'll be able to see. Now, this is what's called a grace period. And this grace period is good for a couple of reasons. Again, if you have other users logged in and using the server, it's going to give them a chance to go, oh my gosh, the system's going down for reboot. That's something I need to know. That's important, right? But it's also going to give an extra grace period for all of your file systems, everything to shut down in a graceful way so that you don't incur any sort of file system errors. So there's a difference in the termination signal that's going to be sent with sudo shutdown R than with reboot. With reboot, that command is going to say, hey, the user wants me to reboot right now. It processes, you're done. And it just completely terminates those processes as immediately as is possible. And yet if we use sudo shutdown R, it's going to give this grace period of 1 minute. And it's also going to send a different termination signal to the processes. You can see now, after 1 minute, the system is rebooting. Okay? So I took that time to explain to you the differences in the termination signals that are being sent to processes and the reality that if other users are logged in, it's going to be important for them to know that the server is going down. So that's a reboot. I showed you reboot and then I asked you not to use it, but rather to use shutdown with the R option. What if you want to reboot right now and you don't want to wait a minute because that seems kind of wasteful if you need to reboot right now, and you're still going to get a better termination signal sent to all of your processes, but any other users logged in are not going to get a heads up at all. Well, if we want to do that, we can simply issue now after reboot, after the R option. Now is the same as +0 minutes. So if we issue that command here, I know you understand what it's going to do, but I just want to carry all of this out, carry all of this to term. And then I want to show you just a few additional things, including how to shut down the system, because some people are like, hey, I don't just want to reboot, I want to shut this thing down. So I'll show you how to halt the system, that is, shut it down so that it won't come back online. And it's very simple, sudo shutdown without the R option. And then remembering that we can specify a time frame here like 60. So this is going to shut the system down after 60 minutes. And so that would be 1 hour if we were to issue that. So let me go ahead and issue this command here, and you'll see that a shutdown is scheduled an hour from now, from my local time. However, if I don't want to go through with it, I can issue sudo shutdown C in order to cancel that shutdown operation. Notice that I can use the server as much as I want after shutdown has been called, has been executed, but it's going to shut down. If I do not cancel it, the server will shut down after whatever time frame is specified, or if no time frame is specified, it will assume 1 minute, 60 seconds. Now, if we want to shut this thing down now, sudo shutdown, the H option will halt the system, and we can issue now. If you don't use the H option, say you just type sudo shutdown now, some systems are going to shut down. Others are not. Others are going to need the halt option. And so my preference is for you to simply learn to use H. In the same way that you used R to reboot, just use H to halt. That way, the system will be brought down and you know it's going to stay down. Sudo shutdown H now is going to shut this server down right now. And you can see my virtual machine has exited. It is powered off. It's done. We shut it down. I have to power it back up now. One final thing as we move back into the server that I want to show you, that is how to post a message so that other users who are logged into the server can be made aware of exactly why you're bringing the system down. Again, if you have other users who are logged into the server, you want to give them a heads up in order to avoid system errors. So giving them a heads up is very good. So you could do sudo shutdown and halt +60, and then you can type a message in quotes. So I can say sudo shutdown H for halt +60, and I can say server is going down for maintenance in 1 hour. Please finish your work now. So, putting in my passwords, we gain root privileges. We now are going to have a message displayed where users can see why we're bringing the system down. They get a little bit more information about why the system's going down, when it's going down, but that is optional. You could simply issue sudo shutdown halt +60, and in doing that, let's go ahead and issue that command here. Oh, I guess I didn't cancel the other shutdown operation. Let me cancel that. And now I can issue sudo shutdown halt +60 like so. And you can see that a shutdown's been scheduled, but you don't have any additional message that was broadcast to other users. That's rebooting. That's shutting down. Now let's talk about logging out. I promise this one's much simpler. Log out. That's how easy it is. You log out, you get kicked back here to the login screen. Right? So that one, you don't have to worry about run levels. You don't have to worry about should I halt, should I not, reboot, the time, all that. If you want to log out, simply issue the logout command and you are out of there. So those are the basics of rebooting, shutting down the system, and logging out.